Accounting concept as a term means that the core principles which form the foundation of the accounting system. So the statements in accounts, whatever financial statements we are preparing, the account books we are maintaining, everything is based on the basic accounting concepts. So that is the reason together the term is used, concept and conventions. So these are the basic principles used in accounting. Under this, the first and foremost principle on the basic accounting concepts is the business or separate entity concept. So when we were doing the basic terms in accounting, I used the term entity there. Can anyone recall what do we mean by entity?
Yeah, ma'am. Entity is an organization that actually allow the other businesses to do.
Okay, okay. So yes, Suraj, you're absolutely correct. By entity, we mean an organization, an economic unit. Okay, and by separate entity concept, we mean that the owner is separate from the business. So, business and owner are two separate entities. When the books of accounts are prepared, they are prepared from the perspective of the business and not the owner. The owner is just contributing the capital, that is the initial funding to run the business. Now, obviously, capital infusement by the owner can be at the starting and then at some later stage also. But to understand right now, it is the owner who makes the initial investment in the business. But even then, the business is treated as a separate entity than the owner. Let's try and make more sense of this concept. Suppose Mr. Sahu started business by investing rupees 1 lakh. He purchased goods for 40,000, furniture for 20,000 and plant and machinery for 30,000. The balance of 10,000 rupees is held as cash in hand. Now, when this business is started, say this business is known as A Limited. तो जब A Limited start हुआ तो A Limited की जब accounting books prepare होंगी, accounting statements prepare होंगी, तो ये सब कुछ जो यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है, जैसे say goods, furniture, plant and machinery, and the remaining cash. This all will be reflected as the as the initial capital brought in by the owner. So this is part of capital, and for the time being understand these are the initial assets for the firm also. Okay, later on when we do the डुअल एस्पेक्ट प्रिंसिपल तब आपको समझ आएगा कि हर जो अकाउंटिंग ट्रांजैक्शन होती है उसके दो इफेक्ट होते हैं. तो ये ना सिर्फ कैपिटल में आएंगी ये सारी आइटम्स, they will also be reflected as the assets of the business. Now these are not assets of Mr. Sahu, these are the assets of business. तो जब अकाउंट प्रिपेयर होगा तो एसेट अकाउंट अलग होगा और मिस्टर साहू का अकाउंट अलग होगा. तो मिस्टर साहू इज जस्ट अ contributor of capital, but the books of accounts are being prepared for A Limited. So whatever creditors, debtors are there in business, they are from the perspective of business and not of Mr. Sahu. So if the business is buying raw materials on credit, then creditors are for the business. They cannot go to Mr. Sahu to recover their money. Okay. So that is what we mean by a separate entity concept. Let us move ahead. So, as I told you, the 1 lakh rupee contributed by Mr. Sahu will be treated as capital for the business and will be reflected accordingly in the books of accounts. Now, continuing with the same example you are given that Mr. Sahu takes away 5,000 cash or goods worth 5,000 for his domestic purpose. Okay. So now when the owner takes away some cash or goods from the business for personal use, then that term is known as drawings. Withdrawing funds or goods from the business, any asset from the business for personal use is known as drawings. So this will again be reflected as drawings by Mr. Sahu in the books of A Limited. So you are seeing that every transaction is being recorded from the point of view of the business. So expenses, any expenses incurred by the owner for himself will be treated as drawings. Okay, it's not the expense of business. So it is a personal expense and hence it is treated as drawings in the business. So what are the benefits? Your personal and your professional expenses are segregated. Okay, so with this concept, the personal transactions of the owner are shown separately from the business transactions. It facilitates recording and reporting of business transactions, and it is the very basis of accounting concept, conventions, and principles. Okay, so the norms which we need to follow, the first and foremost norm is that all the accounts are for the business and not for the owner. Owner is just one of the accounts in the financial statement. Okay, so Simran, you have a question. First, the profit will be recorded, and then after that, the amount withdrawn from the profit will be recorded as drawings. तो प्रॉफिट तो पहले बिजनेस ने अर्न कर लिया है, तो उसको आप एज अ प्रॉफिट इट विल बी शोन इन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, and when the owner is withdrawing some amount of profit as cash for personal use, that will be recorded as drawings. Any other question from this concept, anyone? Okay, so I hope this is clear. We move to the second concept, which is money measurement. तो जब हमने basic features of accounting करे थे, at that point also I told you that only those transactions which can be interpreted in money terms are recorded in the books of accounts. Okay, so every transaction should be recorded in money terms. You are following a uniform currency there. For example, there are sale of goods worth 2 lakh rupees, purchase of raw material 1 lakh, rent paid 10,000, etc. These are some of the transactions that are taking place in the business. So every transaction needs to be expressed in terms of money. Only then can it be recorded. Now, sincerity, loyalty, honesty of the employees, since it cannot be converted in terms of money, there is no scope for recording these transactions in the accounts book. Okay. So there is another example here. At the end of the year 2006, a company had factory on a piece of land measuring 10 acres, office building containing 50 rooms, 50 personal computers, 50 office chairs, 100 kg of raw material. तो आप क्या देख रहे हो कि जो भी एसेट्स बिजनेस के लिए हुए हैं, they have been given in physical terms, in quantitative terms. But when we are recording them in the financial statements, then how do we express them in terms of money? Factory land value is 12 CR. ऑफिस बिल्डिंग जो पहले दिया हुआ था कि उसमें 50 रूम्स है, उसको आप एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हो इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी एज अगेन हैविंग अ वैल्यू ऑफ 10 CR. Computers, 50 personal computers, value 10 lakh. Office chairs, 50 office chairs and tables, value 2 lakh. And 100 kg of raw material. Now, this raw material will be your, say, opening stock. This is at the end of the year, so it is closing stock, that will be 30 lakh rupees. So total value of assets of the firm becomes 22 crore and 42 lakh. So you're not writing them in quantitative terms, you're giving them value, assigning them value, and that is how the assets in business are recorded. Okay, so what is the significance of the money measurement concept? First and foremost, again, it makes the work of the accountant easier. So he gets to know only the financial or money transactions need to be recorded. All the other events that are taking place in the business, they needn't be recorded. It helps in recording business transactions uniformly. It becomes easier to understand the accounting statement, and then again inter-firm and intra-firm comparison is enabled because of the fact that all the firms are recording their transactions in money terms. If there is any question at any point, you can put it in chat box side by side. Okay, next we come to the third concept, which is the going concern concept. Okay, so going concern concept बहुत एक frequently used statement concept that people may come and go, but the business goes on forever. Okay, or like a river which flows irrespective of the tide, it keeps on flowing. So same thing, irrespective of the direction, it keeps on flowing. So the same thing is for the business also. It keeps on flowing. Material people, important people may join the business, may leave the business, but when we are preparing the books of accounts, it is always with the thought that the business will continue in the future. Now, no owner, no promoter starts business with the aim that, okay, I'll close the business in 1 year or 2 years. Everyone has this thought in mind that if I'm starting this business, it will continue in the future. And that's the reason that you prepare the financial statements in such a manner that business is continuing in the near future also. So this concept states, let's clarify this concept more. This concept states that the business will continue its activities for an indefinite period of time. Now it will not be dissolved in the future. There is no intention of closing the business in the future. So when the company is preparing, say, plant and machinery of 1 lakh for 10 years, so we depreciate this asset for 10 years. You are not assuming that the business will close down in 1 or 2 years, but you are spreading the cost of this asset over a period of 10 years. by charging depreciation every year. Okay, so that continuity in business assumptions is assumed in business transactions, sorry, is assumed when you are preparing the books of accounts. So, if an amount is spent on an item which will be used in business for many years, you do not charge that amount completely in the year in which that asset has been acquired. अगर मैं पूरी अमाउंट 1 लाख की फर्स्ट ईयर में ही शो कर दूं एज कॉस्ट, तो उस ईयर में मेरे जो प्रॉफिट्स हैं या तो वो लोअर डाउन हो जाएंगे या फिर नेगेटिव हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि एसेट की अपनी कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा होती है। तो इसी वजह से हम एसेट की कॉस्ट को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर देते हैं ओवर इट्स यूजफुल लाइफ। Only a part of the value is shown as expense in the year of purchase and remaining balance is shown as asset. Okay, तो 1 लाख का एसेट है और हर ईयर आप उस पर डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज कर लेते हो। So what are the benefits of this concept, going concern concept? It facilitates the preparation of financial statements. It is on this basis that depreciation is charged on the assets. Now, again, investors, they assume that they will keep getting income from the business in near future also. Only then will people invest in your business. If you give signals, yes, you give signals that you are closing down the business in the future, you will not be getting ready investors for the business. Yes, to reduce the expense burden on the business, we follow this concept, and which is what is mentioned in the fourth point. And a business is judged for its capacity to earn profits in the future. So we are very optimistic that our business will run in the future. It will not only cover all the expenses but will also earn profits in the future. Okay, so a related concept, going concern से ही related concept है accounting period concept. Now what does accounting period concept says? बिजनेस की इनफाइनाइट लाइफ है। अब इनफाइनाइट लाइफ के एंड में तो हमें नहीं पता कि पहली बात तो इसका एंड कब होगा, तो उस हिसाब से हम फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बना ही नहीं पाएंगे। So what we do is that we divide this infinite life into time periods of equal duration and we prepare our financial statements for that duration. So when I say that accounting year is starting from 1st April to 31st March of the next year, then I have divided the assumed infinite life into accounting periods of 12 months each. Okay, now this helps me to prepare the financial statement. जो भी comparison होगा वो इसी basis पे होगा कि आपकी yearly performance इस बारी current yearly performance क्या है, past yearly performance क्या थी और competitors के against आपकी performance कैसी चल रही है. Okay, so it's not only at the firm level, but if you see at the economy level also, when we compare say the GDP growth rate of economies, then that is also done for a uniform period. That over financial year 2021, this is the expected growth rate of Indian economy, of say US economy, and so on. So that facilitates the comparison among different entities and over a period of time within the same entity. So in the explanation, you can see all the transactions are recorded for a specified period. This is accounting period concept. You prepare balance sheet and profit and loss account at regular intervals. Now, generally, what is required is that each firm needs to prepare annual financial statements. Now there are big firms, big companies जो होती हैं listed जो होती हैं stock exchanges पे वो अपने quarterly results भी declare करती हैं. Quarter में कितने months होते हैं? There are 3 months in a quarter and 4 quarters in a year. So they release their quarterly results also. So that is again up to the company, but generally the financial statements are prepared at the end of the year. Yes, calendar starts on 1st April and it ends on 31st March, the accounting year or the financial year. So again, for a firm which is preparing quarterly financial statements उनके लिए उनका accounting period क्या होगा 3 months का होगा जो annual prepare कर रहा है उसके लिए accounting period 12 months का होगा usually 1 year is taken as one accounting period. Okay, so when we are doing the practical part we are also considering 1 year as one accounting period. Okay, so goods purchased and sold during the period, rent, salaries, etc. are accounted and for and against that period only. So, what do we mean by this statement? Say, for I'm taking year 2019-20. Okay, so when I say 2019-20, this is from 1st April 19 to 31st March 20. Okay. अब अगर इस ईयर में आपने रेंट पे करा है रेंट पेड ऑन 1st June 19 2 lakh and there is another entry rent paid on okay. Now this is rent paid. This amount has already been paid. आपको दो values दी हुई हैं. एक 1st June 2019 की और एक वैल्यू है 1st June 2018 की. जब मैं अकाउंटिंग स्टेटमेंट प्रिपेयर कर रही हूँ फॉर 1920 देन आई कंसिडर ओनली दिस रेंट पेड. दिस वाज फॉर प्रीवियस ईयर hence needs to be recorded or would have been recorded in the previous year financial statements, not having any relevance in the current accounting period. Okay, so when you consider all the incomes and expenses, then they are for the current accounting period and not any previous accounting period. Now, what are the benefits of this concept? It helps in predicting the future prospects of the business. How future prospects? When you know that at the end of this year we have this much profits, I can make this much, I have this much surplus cash. I'll accordingly make investments for the future. Okay, when I see that I'm having surplus cash, only then will I plan some investment for the future. So tax on business income is also calculated at the end of accounting period. The taxable income is determined. Third is banks, financial institutions and creditors are able to analyze the performance of the business. Now, if you're approaching a bank for some loan for your business, it will always look at the financial performance over the past accounting periods to see how well your company or business is performing. It also helps the business firm to distribute their incomes at regular intervals as a dividend. Now, this is very important. The firm, on the basis of the financial performance in one accounting period, will declare the dividends to the shareholders. Okay, so you need to know at regular intervals how well your firm is performing. Okay, next concept is accounting cost concept, which is also known as the historical cost concept. Okay, now what does this concept say? That when you purchase an asset, you record that asset at the original purchase price in the books, and then subsequently you provide for depreciation on that asset. Now, all assets in the business are depreciated except for one asset. Which asset is that? Yes, the commerce students should be able to answer this question. All assets are depreciated except for one asset. Which asset is that?
Land, goodwill,
Yes, good.
Land.
Land,
land.
land is the asset, fixed asset, which isn't depreciated. Okay, it is always recorded at the original purchase price. गुडविल का डेप्रिसिएशन नहीं होता, इंटैंजिबल एसेट्स के साथ हम अलग टर्म यूज करते हैं. व्हाट इज दैट टर्म टू रिड्यूस द वैल्यू ऑफ intangible assets?
Amortization.
Very good, very good. That is known as amortization. So land is not depreciated. All other fixed assets are depreciated. And then for intangible assets, उनकी भी वैल्यू रिड्यूस होती है. आपके पेटेंट्स है, आपकी गुडविल है, पर उसमें हम डेप्रिसिएशन टर्म यूज नहीं करते. वहां पर जो हम टर्म यूज करते हैं उसको हम बोलते हैं amortization. So you can use a S or a Z here in the spelling, amortization. Okay. So originally record the asset at the purchase price and then start reducing the value every year in form of depreciation. We do not check at any point of time what is the market value of the asset. That is not considered in accounts. We are moving as per book value and we are ignoring the market value. So an easy, very simple example is given. A machine was purchased by XYZ Limited for 5 lakh for manufacturing shoes. Now an amount of 1000 was spent on transporting the machine to the factory site and 2000 was spent on installation. Now, collectively, the historical cost which will be shown in the books of accounts will be 5 lakh 3000. जितना भी initial expense लगता है to bring the machine into operating position, to convert the machine into operational position, is part of the initial cost. So all the expenses incurred to make the machine operational will be covered as a part of the cost, will be included as part of the cost of the machine. तो अब जब आप डेप्रिसिएशन लगाओगे इस मशीन पे, तो आप 5 लाख पर नहीं लगाओगे, आप 5 लाख 3000 पे इसको डेप्रिशिएट करोगे. ठीक है. So even if the market price after 1 year or 2 years say it is different, say it reduces to 90,000, जैसे अभी दिया हुआ है इसमें एग्जांपल में, you will not show it at 90,000. You will start with 5 lakh 3000 and start reducing the amount by depreciation every year. Okay. The cost means original or acquisition cost only for new assets, and for used ones cost means original cost less depreciation. So for the time being used one, अभी used assets की हम बात नहीं करते, अभी जो cost की हम बात कर रहे हैं वो new assets की कर रहे हैं और वहां पे हम purchase price की बात कर रहे हैं. Okay. Then what is the significance of this concept? The concept requires assets to be shown at the price at which they have been acquired, which can be verified by supporting documents. It helps in calculating depreciation on the assets, and the effect of cost concept is that if the business entity does not pay anything for an asset, this item will not be shown in the books of accounts. So you have to show the asset only at the acquisition cost. Okay. Any asset which you are bringing in the business free of charge, that will not be recorded in the books of accounts. Okay, so what I'll do is that we have covered around 5-6 concepts. I'll stop here.